the other day at the finance committee meeting, Kathy's like, oh, we're gonna call into a counselor that's unavailable. And so she has her phone on speakerphone. She's like calling him and they're like, Dexter Healthcare. She's like, yes, can I have Bob Stackhouse, please, room 15. I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
Get on. Okay. Alright. So, good evening. Today is April 25th, 2019. This is an Ordinance Committee meeting for the town of Pittsfield. In attendance is Matt Bolster and Heather Donahue. We'll begin the meeting by standing and having a pledge.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll have a moment of silence. And we'll turn to our agenda for this evening. First item on the agenda, well, I guess we should review the notes.
Accept the minutes.
Accept the minutes for the last meeting. And that was March 28th, 2019. Want to make a motion?
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
And I second. All those in favor? Aye. The motion passes. Okay. All right, first item on this evening's agenda is review and vote on the proposed language for changes to the ordinances prior considered to this committee. And we were given a packet with language and the changes distributed by the town manager at the town council meeting on 3/19/2019. Those changes had been reviewed for language by the town attorney to make sure that they fell within acceptable norms for that language. And then the first one was regarding Manson Park, Article 15, Chapter number 6, under miscellaneous ordinances, found on page 6 to 13. Number 6, the proposed change is to, no person shall enter the park in an intoxicated condition, nor shall any person have in his possession, drink, or use in the park any alcoholic beverage. The prohibition on possession, drinking, or use of alcoholic beverages shall not apply in any area of the park that is part of an event with a duly issued license for the service of alcohol beverages in compliance with the applicable provisions of Title 28-A of the Maine Revised Statutes. And this is the item that we previously discussed at our prior meeting and had recommended changes for. So this will go back to the full council, and I believe it will be on our next agenda to be approved and then set to public hearing on the second meeting for May.
Okay.
Do you want to make a motion?
I move that we accept these changes.
I second.
On 1A?
On 1A.
Yep.
Yes. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So motion passes. And then item 1B is Chapter 2A under Business Licenses and Permits, Section 211 and Schedule A. Changes for amendments of lunch wagon and transient sellers and licensing chart review. And those changes were made in the chart. And I believe the only change was to allow for the town clerk to approve licenses, so it doesn't have to come to the ordinance committee. No, I'm sorry, it doesn't have to come to the full town council for approval. So it allows people to start having business here, conducting business here in town a little quicker than waiting for the gap of time in between.
So we already have the language written up, we just don't have it in the agenda yet.
I believe the only language is in that chart.
It just changes
It
it
just
from.
changes it in the chart to say that
Right.
it's in bold, I think.
There,
The town clerk can issue a business permit
after inspection approval.
after inspections and approvals are previously done. I think that's the only change in that chart.
Okay.
Previously, it was town council.
Right.
So now it'll just be the town clerk has the ability to do that.
They had to wait for us for a week or 2 weeks before they could get started.
Yeah, if they came in like the Wednesday, the day after our meeting with their licenses and their health and human services inspection, their fire inspection, and any other inspections that they need to have, then they would have had to wait a whole nother week and a half to 2 weeks before we have another meeting, or the full council had another meeting in order to approve that. So this allows them to start selling and servicing the town in a quicker fashion, and is a little more business friendly than having to wait that gap of time.
All right. Well, do I
Yes, you do.
hear? Would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve that one.
Okay, I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. All right, item 1C is Chapter 13 zoning ordinance. There were 3 items that we looked at our last meeting. Number 1 here was Section 4, the home-based enterprise, and that recommendation that we said to approve went to the planning board and was approved at their 4/15 meeting. I'm still waiting for a copy of their minutes, but I did have a conversation with the chairperson, and he said that that was approved.
Okay.
So I feel comfortable going ahead and approving that because we already had the language for that, and I believe it's in the packet as well.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
It's a chart too, I think.
I think it was just this next one, right? It's
There's actually 2 charts here. The home-based enterprise, and then the home occupations is the next item, and they're in the same section.
right here.
Yep. So that dealt with the setback and then the fencing issue on the other one. So our vote tonight would just be to affirm those changes.
Okay. It looks the same as what we approved previously.
Right.
Says sales area, office area, or production areas and interior storage in existing buildings is allowed in the setback areas. And it used to say however this, but now it says interior storage in detached buildings would not count as the 50% of the living area calculation. That's the only change for the home-based enterprise section.
Okay, so I would make a motion that we affirm the planning board's approval of that and to send it to the full council for approval.
Second that motion.
Okay, and since we're in agreement, I'm just gonna say the motion passes.
Okay.
Alright, and then section 4, the home occupations, is in that same section, similar language, and that has to do with fencing around, providing fencing around so that people can store things outside of their garages, I believe.
Yep. It says equipment and materials needed for the business may be stored outside, provided the storage area is concealed from view by a well-constructed 6-foot high fence. The fence shall be tight, cannot be seen through. That should be changed a little bit, the wording, but
Typo.
for further requirements, see the town screening ordinance. So basically, if you have like a lawn care business and you want to bring your truck home or your trailer home, you just park it behind a fence or in a fenced-in area, and that's considered screened from the neighbor's view, so they don't have to look at your materials.
Right. So again, I would make a motion that we affirm the approval of the planning board and we send that to the full council for approval and schedule a public hearing for the next council meeting.
Can I second that?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next is the tiny homes.
The next one was regarding the tiny homes. We had approved language and sent that to the town planning board. There's some amendments that were made to table P and Q for allowing tiny homes in several districts. The language that's in there allowed it for the districts, and there was some consideration. The planning board did not approve this because the code officer was going to check with the state about whether the homes needed to have wheels or not, or could have wheels or could not have wheels. There was some question about that. And in the packet that the town manager gave us as far as the language, there was some concern about having the tiny homes allowed in the R1 district, which is the residential district. One of these maps has, this is a zoning map.
So, green. Residential.
So, pukey orange.
This street.
This one here.
School Street.
So, School Street, Elm Street, Terrace,
Okay.
Hemlock Terrace, Birchwood, whether it would be allowed in that area.
I understand they probably thought if they have a smaller home where a much larger, more high dollar home could fit, maybe it would bring valuations down. Is that their concern?
I wasn't given any reasons as to why that. It just said in there maybe some consideration of restricting it from that area. But these are larger lots. Is that the issue?
That's
These are
what I'm
larger
thinking,
lots
yeah.
than these in town here.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see the size difference between that and
Right.
one of these.
Right.
They're all pretty good size.
That's the school, so that's,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
that's
bigger.
that. Then what's this big one here? It must be part of the school too, maybe? Or
Maybe.
no? It doesn't have any road frontage and it goes along the railroad tracks. So there's no street access to it, so maybe that's part of the same parcel. And it's just wooded. Because there's no street
Yeah.
in there. I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with smaller homes being in there, even though, I mean, yeah, it would impact, I guess it would impact the tax base having a smaller home versus a larger home in there. But I don't think there's that many buildable lots left in there.
No, not really.
So that wouldn't really,
If something small came up and somebody wanted to slide, a smaller home in there, it'd be
Right.
more opportunity to fill all the lots.
right. And somebody might want to live in town, have a bigger lot, but not have a large home to put on it. I think that's, that's the impetus behind tiny homes, is that people don't want to have that large footprint either for ecological reasons or just physical reasons. If it's an older couple, they only need a small area, or maybe a younger couple starting out would start with a tiny home and then build on. So there's always the option of that. So in general, I'm in favor of less restrictions than more.
Absolutely.
But
That's the only reason why I can guess, though, that they said not in R1 is to try to
that, yeah, I think that would probably be what it would be. And then
maximize
also,
that, like, per square foot
Yeah.
tax dollar. At least that's what I could think, but.
Yeah, and if those are larger homes in there anyway, then there might be a perception of reducing the value of those homes if there's small homes in there as well. But I don't know how all that works exactly. So, but yeah, but I mean, I don't have a problem with having it in, town-wide, not having that restriction.
Whatever the state guidelines, are. I think we already previously stated that anyway, so.
Right. Do you want to go on the record here as far as your feelings of the R1 zoning for tiny houses, or?
Saying that we should allow them in
Right.
R1? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. pay your taxes, you ought to be able to build pretty much what you want as long as it's not infringing on somebody else's rights.
Right. Okay, so that, we're not gonna vote to pass that or anything because the planning board has to bring that one back to us, so
Yep.
I'll just,
We'll table that for next time, or how does that work?
I don't know, I guess, well, we discussed it, so what we'll do is we'll just make a recommendation. I'll send this back to I'll send this feedback back to the planning board, so when they get their no wheel issue straightened out, then they'll know what we think about the ordinance, what the ordinance committee perception of the R1 issue is, and they may or may not take that into account when they're discussing the item. Okay. To planning board. And so we're gonna wait until they address a vote for this. Okay. Okay, so the second item here, or topic, I guess, on our agenda is continued discussion and update on the development of a municipal ban on pesticide application. And the question was whether the town should ban all use of synthetic pesticides and herbicides from town land and properties. We had looked at the last meeting, we looked at examples of this type of ordinance that are in place in other communities. We looked at Rockland, South Portland, and then there was also a presentation, a link to a presentation from Beyond Organic Land Care that was utilized in the development of the South Portland ordinances. As far as the update that I have on that, I have touched base with Julie Rosenbach. I think that's her name. She is the sustainability coordinator for the city of South Portland. I had a conversation with her early in the week and just asked her, how they approached developing their ordinance, how it's been working so far. And she said, and I explained what we were thinking about doing is bringing in presenters to talk about all the issues. And she said that was a really good approach to get people talking about it, thinking about it, and having more information before anything's developed. She said that was a good approach. She said that they have, they've had a pretty good response from people in town. And I asked her specifically about their parks because that's the issues that we're gonna have. And she said that they've had a good response with the parks. The playing fields that they have, they gave them a 1 year waiver, so they have another year waiver before they have to be completely managed organically because they were having some trouble with grubs. So they're working through a plan on how to address that organically. And they gave the playing fields an extra year to kind of make that transition. So they're working on that this year, and then by next May, I believe, their playing fields are going to fall underneath that ordinance as well, so they'll have to be handled all organically. So I talked to Julie, and then my pen died. I talked to Julie, and then I also had a call into Megan Patterson, and she is the director of the Maine Board of Pesticide Control. And she called me back late today, and we've been playing phone tag. And so my question for her was if we could have somebody from the department come and make a presentation to the planning board, the ordinance committee, and the town council about the process that people go through to become certified, and then that would give us an opportunity to ask questions about that as well. I also put a call in to Chip Osborne from Osborne Organics. He's one of the resources that Julie from South Portland had pointed me to. He has a company that helps municipalities transition from conventional to organic management. And there's a lot of information on his company and some videos that they've done that I watched a couple online. One of them was at a playing field. They didn't say where it was, but excuse me, his company does a lot of work in Connecticut, and his website lists a lot, so I'm assuming it's in Connecticut because that's where he's based out of. But it was a property that has children playing on it 7 days a week, so treating it with pesticides was an issue because there's so many children on it all the time. And he said that in the video they were talking about how they've made this transition based on using soil samples and different feedback testing from that, and also they've been able to reduce the watering as the soil's been recovering. They've been able to reduce the watering from 7 days a week to 5 days a week, and now they only water 3 days a week, and that's in the hot summertime. You know, the rest of the time it's only once a week. And they had a video of the fields, and it was gorgeous. I mean, it was all grass, it was all green, there wasn't bare patches, it looked really nice. So I put a call into them. I haven't heard back from anybody yet, but my main question for them was, you know, if municipalities want to go through this process of doing it, what would the steps be? What kind of evaluation would we need to do on the property as far as soil testing, pHs, and things like that, to figure out, you know, you have to have a baseline of where you are, because the idea is that you build your soils to the point that you don't have this imbalance that favors some plants over others, and weeds like that. So that was one of my questions for him, and my other question was going to be the cost associated with it, either with the soil test or implementing another type of program, and how much of a transition it is. You know, is it usually like a 3-year transition or a 2-year transition? And it probably depends on the shape of the property that's in already. And then I tried to look up the name of the gentleman that Jack Wright had given me that does our applications now, and I couldn't find him, so I need to call Jack and get in touch with him and find out how to contact that guy. He was away for the winter, he goes away in the winter, so he was supposed to be back sometime in April. So I'd like to have him come in and talk to the council and the committees about what our current program is and how often it's being done, what's being sprayed, and what his philosophy, I guess, would be as far as whether or not he thinks that he could make some transition, and whether we would need to do some training or something like that for him to do that. So that was kind of where I'm at, waiting for a lot of people to call me back. Yeah. So that hasn't really gone anywhere. Okay. So the next item was we talked about Division of Administrative Services as far as the situation with the Public Works Department, also by the town code, having the transfer station, the recycling center coordinator, and all the employees there under his oversight, when in reality it acts as its own mini department. And so the thought was that we should change our rules here, change our codes here, to make it reflect the reality of what we have. We have a very capable transfer station recycling center coordinator, and he does a great job doing that. And so the proposed language here would be listing it as its own department with a department head. So what I did is I went through the book here, and we're waiting for an electronic copy of this so we can edit it a little easier than scribbling on this. But basically what would need to happen would be Article 2 under Division of Administrative Service. Section 1 is the establishment of departments. We would be adding a Municipal Waste Services Department, and that's just my terminology that I came up with. If you have a better term.
No, that sounds good.
Excuse me. So that would include the transfer station and the recycling center as one entity in that department. And so the employees associated with that would be the transfer recycling center coordinator, would be the department head. And then the second thing would be under Public Works employees, section 603.3, transfer station attendant, 603.4, recycling coordinator, and 603.5, recycling center attendant, and transfer them to the new municipal waste services department under a new section 1400 with the recycling coordinator as head of the department. So basically this would put a new department at the end of this is chapter 6, chapter 2. Here. There we go. So under, it would be fall in after municipal airport, because that's, unless we want to have like a 603A dot 1, that just seemed better to stick it in at the end.
Okay.
Just numerically, there isn't room in there. So that would put that at the end here. And if we wanted to do that, we should develop a list of duties for the new department head and adjust the duties of the public works director accordingly, because some of them would be transferred over to this new department head. And I think that we should probably, we can work on that a little bit tonight if we want to, but I think that we should also get copies of the job descriptions from the town manager or the office upstairs and have those to look at as well. And I'm sure Catherine would have, the town manager would have some input as far as what should be in that list. And I had just looked under, there is a duties of the public works director under section 602, page 2-23.
Okay.
And so there's some things in there that can be taken out, where number 4, it says responsible for the care and the maintenance of the town of Pittsfield transfer station, including the recycling center. I'm not sure if that would fall separately now that if there is a department of their own, or if it would still be in there because he does all the buildings in the town, so that's a town building.
So basically, we're not really per se changing people's jobs, we're just changing the language to reflect the system that we really already have anyway.
Right. It would just be taking the employees out, the transfer station recycling coordinator and recycling attendants, taking that section out of Public Works and putting it in its own section under Municipal Waste Services Department. Our current recycling coordinator acts as a department head. He does all the budgeting, he does the payroll, he, submitting that, he does all the planning. So he's acting as a department head. We just need to make our code follow along with what's already in practice. And I'm pretty sure our current public works foreman, our highway foreman, has his hands full with highway stuff, and we don't really want to expect him to take on the transfer station as well. And they do all work together on different projects when they need help, and I don't think that this is going to affect any of that. But I think we can use the duties of the Public Works Director as a guide for duties of the new department head, because it would be very similar, except anywhere it's talking about construction. It wouldn't be. It would be more like maintenance, management, day-to-day management of the facility out there. Number 2, it says about planning, about streets and roads. It would just be like planning for equipment needs and things like that, which he already does. Care and maintenance of the property. And that would be just daily. It wouldn't be like major things like that. Prepare, cause to be prepared all contracts. That's already done. And specifications. If Donnie needs a particular piece of equipment, he's putting together the bid specs for that. He did the waste transporter. He did the what's the crusher thing called?
The glass
compactor.
Okay,
the glass crusher. All those things. Those are all documents that he's already prepared and
Mhm.
and whatnot. Efficient operation, he's got that down. The town equipment's not used, inventory, regulating supplies, I think everybody has to do that in their departments anyway. Care and control, well, that would go with maintenance. And then there's the catch-all number 10, any other responsibilities,
Listed in
which
this
may not be
section.
listed in this section, it covers everything else.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good start, and then I'm sure the town manager would have some feedback as far as what else should go in there.
Mhm. So effectively, we're gonna really delete this public works director position because it's not really, it's a position held by Catherine technically, which she's already.
Technically, yes. I don't think we're deleting this. These are actually, so this is a separate job than the highway foreman.
Okay.
And Steve Vance is the highway foreman, but he's a working foreman. And he is the head of that department. So technically he's the public works director. Kind of.
Well, it says highway foreman is listed with transfer station
Right.
attendant.
Right, and so the job descriptions for transfer station attendant, recycling coordinator, and recycling center attendants. So recycling center attendant is actually under the direction of the recycling coordinator. The coordinator one would have to be adjusted, that it would just be under the town manager. I guess you'd leave public works director in there because someday we may hire a public works director, but.
To do the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. Leave it kind of open-ended for whatever changes may come 100 years from now.
Right, so technically right now we don't have a public works director,
Mhm.
so that would be Catherine, because I think that's one of the positions that historically just was not refilled or
Mhm.
was downsized. So we'll leave that in there, but these actual jobs would be moved into the new department.
Okay.
Okay, so adjust 602 and take out number 4. Town of Pittsburgh recycling, including the recycling center. So that would be under the day-to-day operations. And really taking for the care and maintenance. Maintenance could be just telling public works you need something done in the building,
Yeah.
or requesting. And then, so 603-3, the transfer station attendant would be modified to not include highway foreman. And it should be under recycling, the waste, what did I call it? Municipal waste
Mm-hmm.
services. Recycling coordinator, I guess.
The only thing I probably would add is like municipal solid waste services, because to
Oh,
differentiate between the sewer.
Well, technically that's solid.
Yeah.
Alright, so municipal solid waste. Big time.
Yeah, it's
Okay, so under recycling coordinator or head of department. Okay, and then, so you're good with that change under the transfer station attendant, that it would be under the direction of the recycling coordinator who is head of the department.
Mm-hmm.
And or we'll strike, well, we'll leave public works in there in case we ever hire a public works person and the town manager.
Yep.
Okay, and then 603-4, the recycling coordinator shall be operated under the direction of perform duties as outlined in the job description. So the job descriptions might need to be adjusted if they also refer to being managed by the public works director. So it's okay to leave that as under the direction of the public works director. And it's previously under the proposal it says section 1400 with the recycling coordinator as head of the department, so that covers that. And then 603-5 is recycling center attendance. So that's separating assist transfer station work, job description at the town office under the direction of the recycling coordinator and or transfer station attendant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that one's okay.
Yep.
As is. So there's just a few minor changes in the job
The descriptions.
and they would become it'd be section 1400, and it would be the municipal solid waste services department employees would be the heading for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so are you good with passing this back? Maybe,
If we could see sort of like a draft again like this.
draft it out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice to have the electronic version, then we could just do that work pretty much for them, but.
Okay, so I'll renew our request to ask for an electronic version of the chapter 2 to make the changes. And we'll also need copies of the job descriptions.
Mm-hmm.
But I think any changes to those job descriptions would just be done internally in the town office. It would just be the ones that are delineated here, the duties here, that we would need to put into the new department. But it would be good to see the copies of the job descriptions for those previous ones. So maybe they can have those for us at the next council meeting or email them to us, and then we'll set, do you want to set another meeting date tonight? Or do you want to wait and see when we receive those documents?
We wait till we see those documents and then we're still waiting we can wait until we hear back about the
the
R1.
planning board.
Yeah, that
Okay.
would group it all
I
in
think their next meeting, I think it's the second Monday that they meet.
Yes, second Monday.
So that'd be the 13th.
Okay.
Okay, so planning board. And they only have one meeting a month, right?
Correct.
So our next meeting should be after the 13th. Our second meeting for the full council is the 21st of May. So if we had a meeting maybe the 16th, that would be the same week as the planning board. So we could take action.
We could bounce it back to the council the next, the
Uh,
second, or
we
is that
won't-
we'll miss the cutoff?
We'll miss the cutoff
Okay.
unless we have our meeting on the 14th, which would be the day after the planning board, and then we could make the recommendations on the 15th to be addressed on the 21st.
I don't think that's gonna give them enough time to
I don't think so either.
do what they want to do in the back end of things.
And this doesn't, there's no like time push to do this either, so
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with having the meeting on the 16th, and then that'll give us time to develop things, and hopefully I can hear back from some of these other people, and maybe have one of the presentations on the first meeting in June, and we can kick this all back to the council on the 4th, and then have it set to public hearing on the 18th maybe.
Seems like light years away, but it'll be here
Oh,
before we know
it's
it.
going fast.
Mhm.
Okay, so planning board has a 5:13 meeting, and our next meeting will be 5:16. Do you want to do 6:30 again? Do you want to do 6?
Yeah, either or is cool.
Alright, let's keep it at 6:30 just so
6:30.
it's the same.
It's easier to remember. It's the same time as council
It is.
meetings, so.
Yeah, and do we want to, I don't know, we talked in the communications committee, we talked about having regular meetings.
Yep.
Do you think it works out well to have our meeting the same week as the planning board to be able to follow up on things?
Yeah, I mean, as long as there's something to follow up on.
Right.
Right now
As long as
there
it's
is.
timely,
Yeah.
you know. I don't want to have a meeting just bad enough when there's just two of us here and we have things to talk about. If we
Yeah.
don't have things to talk about.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like hanging out with you, man.
Right.
I like having it on the off week that we don't also have council.
Yeah, I do.
That gets a bit, having 2 nights, 2 evening meetings the same week is a bit much. So we'll meet again on the 16th at 6:30 here. And under new business, I didn't have anything. We had talked before about a plastic bag ban, but there's the legislature is taking that up,
I
so
heard, yeah.
we'll just kind of leave that lie and see what happens.
Let the state.
Yeah, let the state do it, and we'll see what kind of rules they come up with, or if they even vote it through or not. So we can kind of take a wait and see approach on that, and see where that goes. And I'll try to get a presentation on June. What did I just say? It was the 4th? Yeah. And maybe one on the 21st. Trying to spread them out a little bit. I'll see, because it depends on when people are available too. But that gives like a full month to get information together for the 21st. And then we'll have a meeting before then also to be able to do that. So. Well, I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else I need to talk about?
I guess I'm all set. Oh, cool.
Okay.
Great.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn
In a second.
at 7:14 p.m.
Okay.
Your
Yeah, I'm gonna
information
keep
back.
that. You didn't get one of these?
No?
You know what, I think that, was
Was
that
that
the
the one
meeting
night
that
I
you
was
missed?
out? Yep.
Yeah,
Probably.
okay. I'll,
If she has it electronic, she can just email it to me.
yeah, I'll make a note and ask Catherine to email. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you didn't have this.
I didn't either.
Okay. Alright, so I'll write up the notes and I'll send them to you to make corrections, and then we'll tell the rest of the council what we talked about at the next meeting.
Okay. Sounds good.
Hold up. I gotta buy some pens, that's the second pen that's run out of ink on me today.
I usually lose them before they run. Leave them somewhere.
Did you get your budget book updated yet?
Yeah, I left mine in the desk and she updated it.
Okay.
As far as I know.
I gotta bring mine in and get it updated. I had all kinds of notes written in it, so I didn't wanna just replace the pages, I just wanted to add the updated bits.
You can compare what you had written down.
Hmm?
So you can compare what you had written down.
Yeah, yeah, cause I had written notes about other things on the pages, so.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want that to be lost.